Kensen, I remember like when we first met, were we talking about you while you were still working on Bay Street? Were you about
I was
to
just
quit?
about to quit.
Yeah, we had that meeting, I think, in our old office, no?
Tom, I
Talking
think
about you quitting
everyone
your-
that comes onto your podcast, they end up leaving their jobs.
Yeah, yeah. I have flashbacks to your talking to you about
That's
maybe
going to backfire sooner or
quitting
later.
your job. No, I think I learned a lot in the corporate world. I learned a lot.
I
but
think
then
it's
there's
I think it's worth going. It really helps you understand a lot of stuff. Like, yeah, I don't think there's a bad side to it. And for some people, it's the right thing. Like that's where they're happy and good for them. You know?
Exactly.
And a lot of the processes that we learned in the corporate world, we took to Rockstar, and it kind of helped us evolve here. So it was totally beneficial. But I forget why you were on the fence, but then you ultimately did it. And so how has it been?
It's been life-changing, to be honest.
Income. Let's just go to the money for a second.
Right.
Did you freak out when you lost the salary?
Yeah, it was hard to adapt because you're used to getting that paycheck. But sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith and go where you're not comfortable, and you figure it out. You know, life's short, and you know, I was a portfolio manager at age 28, and I was like, okay, so I know my life for the next 30, 40 years, right? Retire early, get a good income, build my
And it's
AUM.
gonna be boring as shit.
I'm
It's
gonna
gonna be
live the
boring
dream,
as
right?
shit. Yeah.
You're gonna play a lot of golf though.
You know, he was mulling it over for a few years. He knew he wanted to make the jump. I think one thing that I told him is like, what's the worst case? You can always go back and get the same job or
Right.
go work back in the industry. So take the plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd your parents think though when you were telling them that?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking.
There's a
yeah.
lot of resistance.
Yeah.
Right. You land on base.
It's a very nice way
you're
to say
a
it.
portfolio manager. You've reached your full potential. But honestly, ever since transitioning, I've been so thankful that I took that leap.
And are your parents happy for you now? They've come to terms, or they're still.
you know, I think they're still concerned.
Yeah.
My mom, it's mainly my mom or our mom. She's definitely looking out for the best interests of us.
Sure. Yeah.
Before, when I was an engineer and when I lost my job, she was not happy when I was like, I'm jumping into real estate development, don't know a thing about it, don't have the capital, but gonna figure it out. She's always wanting like stability. So
Yeah.
she views the 9 to 5 as more stable, safe and secure. And she's like, why would you leave an engineer? Because especially like in the Asian culture, you know, you gotta be an engineer, lawyer, or doctor. And so me leaving that to do my own thing, and especially when
Yeah, I never think about that. So you were kind of looked down upon from
yeah,
your
exactly.
own family.
Yeah, so I think they couldn't talk to our family members about what I
Yeah,
was
got it.
Because you have the status symbol of being an engineer,
a
right?
professional.
That's-
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, also like, you know, the reason why I think my mom has that outlook for us, she wants that security for us, because when they were running their business, there was times where they didn't have enough money, and my mom has a story where she went to get out cash with her debit card and it ate her card because she didn't have any funds in the account. So my mom and dad have gone through a lot of volatility in the past.
I wonder if ATMs still do that. I used to work at the bank, and I remember when ATMs would eat people's cards. They would come in and they would be in a little box behind the ATM, and then we would have to kind of go look up which customer it was and what happened to the account. Right. I don't know if ATMs still do that or not. But when your parents came to Canada, how old were they? They were.
My mom was 16, and I think my dad was around 23, 24.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And they were both.
They met here.
They met at University of
UTM.
Toronto,
Okay.
UTM.
and they happened to come from the same city
Oh,
back
wow.
in Malaysia. Like, yeah, it just happened to be.
But they didn't know each other in Malaysia.
No,
And
they met here.
And then, Kensen, why did you use the words life-changing about quitting your job?
I think for me, it's getting outside that bubble. I think when you work in corporate, you start talking a certain way, you have a facade a certain way, and you start living on the society's terms rather than your own terms. And that's why, you know, your slogan resonates with me. It's, you know, a big reason as to why we do what we do is your life, your terms. And it's about, you know, like this morning, I did CrossFit and I went for a swim, and I went and I made a shake for my son. You know, like back then, it's like get to work by 8:30. You have to read the markets before it opens and be, you know, everything is just stuffy and uptight, and you're pretty much working on someone else's criteria. And so for me, having that liberty to just take that plunge and be able to follow my curiosity, even like I wouldn't be learning about Bitcoin and Teslas, you know, working where I was. It's learn about the blue chips, things that are safe, keep it safe. Don't over perform.
And you were traveling when you quit your job. What was that about? You were just exploring and kind of finding yourself? Because I feel like you were going to different conferences in the US.
Yeah.
Walk us through that. Why were you doing that? What was that all about?
Yeah, for me, I was too used to living a conventional life. You know, like I went through education, went to Western, got good grades.
You went to Western too?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone I'm meeting went to Western. Holy smokes. Okay.
Got good grades, landed on Bay Street. I followed the path that you're supposed to follow. And what I realized after that experience, I was 28. I was like, I'm not happy. You know, like I did everything that you're supposed to do and you're supposed to be happy. Why aren't I happy? And then I did some self-reflection, read some books. I'm like, you know what? I gotta change this pattern up. And I talked to one of my buddies who was running a company, and he's like, the best thing you'll ever do is just travel solo. I was like, solo traveling? Like, I don't think any of my culture would approve of that. Like, you don't travel solo. And so what I did was I booked a one-way ticket to Thailand, and I gave myself a deadline. It's like, you're going to resign by that date. But at that point, I didn't know. So I booked the ticket before resigning. And I gave myself a deadline. I said, you're just going to figure it out, you know?